It's time for the Financial Crisis Talk Center with Ken Gross and David Einstandig from Thav Gross.
Credit card debt is number one. I view it as financial cancer.
40% of your gross income is going to just pay the debt service. You got no chance of getting out.
I would give up my credit score to get rid of debt.
Here's your host, Ken Gross.
Hi, it's Financial Crisis Talk Center time. We've got a special guest with us this morning, Dr. Lou Radden, spine specialist in Michigan. Also in the studio, Al Lango from Deadline Detroit, and co-host David Einstandig. Word of the day is pain. And I want to kind of introduce Lou. We're going to talk about back pain, what you do, how you handle it, where you deal with those issues. Now, I know, Lou, your office is over on Telegraph. Your name of the practice is Spine Specialist in Michigan. You use both surgical and non-surgical solutions to manage complex spinal problems. Let me ask the first question. What's the most common form of back pain people come in and see you about?
It's probably strain or sprain. So any type of muscle spasms related to the lower back muscles are probably the most common issues that patients suffer from.
What's the range of people when they come in? Are they usually in severe pain, or is it a wide range where you've got the person who seems to be walking fine and is the chronic complainer and says my back's sore, or is that kind of like a very small segment and people are usually in agonizing pain? I think of back pain can be very agonizing.
Well, because we specialize in spinal surgery, it's usually a rule of thirds. A third of patients come in with a minor to moderate dull ache in the low back. Another third, they'll have a moderate amount of pain, as well as they'll have some radicular symptoms or pain radiating down the extremity, either the leg or the neck and the arm. In addition, another third is patients that come in and they're in such severe pain that they might be just hunched over or possibly laid out on the floor. Those patients are usually immediate surgical candidates.
Doc, is your typical patient coming to you after they've been initially referred to a physiatrist, they've had 4 to 5 to 6 epidural treatments, and it's just not doing it for them? Is that the time that you usually see the patient, or are you able to get them earlier?
Well, because we're a comprehensive spine institute, we provide physical therapy as one of the primary treatments for back pain. In addition, we also perform pain management, where we also perform the epidural steroid injections, as well as the surgical intervention. Oftentimes, we're a tertiary spine center. Therefore, if the patient has had previous back surgery by another back surgeon, we'll oftentimes revise that back surgery to help get the patient back to improve quality of life.
What's the success rate of back surgery?
That's interesting. It's about being selective. Every patient is not a candidate for back surgery. A typical day for me, I might see a population of patients, usually less than 10% are good surgical candidates. You fit the patient to the treatment option.
And does, when you're doing that, is there a lot of scar tissue that can sometimes develop and create problems, or is that?
Once a patient has had one spinal surgery, there is a fair amount of scar tissue. Once you have multiple spinal surgeries, there is an increased amount of scar tissue.
And how does that impact the success of surgeries?
Well, it depends. I mean, if it's related to instability, usually adjusting or performing a spinal fusion will help that pain that's caused by the instability. If it's related to scar tissue, we perform spinal cord stimulators will help block the pain at the spinal cord level. So just because you've had a failed back surgery does not necessarily mean that there's not any help for you.
Let me ask you a question. It's like, there's something about back pain that always troubles me. Like, if I sprained my ankle a few months ago, and from the time I sprained it till now, it's still bothering me. But even at the time where it was really in bad shape in black and blue, I could still mentally force myself to walk. I could say, it's going to hurt, and I would take one step at a time, and I would feel the pain. but I could still walk. When your back goes, and I've experienced bad back problems over the years. It's been a number of times, but I can remember being in a situation where it was so debilitating I couldn't trigger a signal in my brain. I was triggered the signal in my brain that says, "Okay, Ken, get up," and I'd go to get up, and nothing would happen. So physiologically, there's something different going on there. No matter how sore the ankle is, you can make the foot rise and work. But when it comes to your back, something goes wrong where your brain can't force your body to work anymore. I don't understand that.
Well, number one, you have to understand you have one good leg, one bad leg. So even if your one leg is disabled, your other leg can help to accommodate the disability of the other leg, whereas you only have one back. So
that's true.
You don't have a spare back, and therefore when your back goes out, it's a major core muscle, and you can't get up, even though your mind is telling you to get up.
Yeah,
Doc, I have a question for you. How do you deal with the situation, and I assume that you have many times in recent years, where you have a patient who comes in, and it could be a professional, it could be anyone working on the line on their feet all day, and they say, "Doc, my back is killing me, but I got to get to work. I got a mortgage payment, I've got school loan payments, I've got to get the utilities paid, I have 2 kids, 3 kids, spouse is working." And how do you balance being able to get your patient, while they're in pain, the ability to work and earn a living, while at the same time have a long-term plan to alleviate the pain?
Well, number one, if a patient is working on a line or they have some type of heavy duty type of job, there's things we can do like rehab. We can limit the weight limit that they have on their job. In addition, we can provide back braces for them. So we can take a conservative approach to try to help the patient get at least back to work with restricted duty.
But even if you're sitting at a desk, because I know my father about a year and a half ago had triple fusion.
Correct.
On his back.
Well, he was in bad shape. I remember
and
that.
My dad is a CPA. For 40 years, he's been sitting behind a desk for the most part. He was at a point where he could not stand and take a step. That's how bad it got before surgery. So even if you have a desk job for the most part, what I saw is if you actually commit to get the surgery and commit to the rehab, a little bit of short-term less work or off work will enable you to continue your career. And that's got to be difficult to balance.
I guess you have to bite the bullet for the better good. You just have to do what you have to do to get yourself back in place, but you have to keep the money flowing along the way. We're going to take a break. We'll come back with Dr. Lou Radden, spine specialist of Michigan. We're going to talk about how it ties to financial issues.
I couldn't get out of the car. I couldn't run or exercise. I couldn't work.
Dr. Louis Radden believes that pain shouldn't have to wait. His Spine Specialist of Michigan is a comprehensive center dedicated to helping you manage pain now. Expect the latest techniques and personalized care. Why suffer another minute?
He's the best. I tell people that he's the one that saved my life.
Make your appointment with Dr. Radden. Call 248-792-9496.
If your house is underwater, please listen to this important message.
The rules have finally changed. We're seeing some great loan modifications with reduced principal, and short sales are easier to get done than people think. The biggest problems I see are people wait too long or they try and do it themselves. There are no second chances.
If you're underwater in your house, call the experts.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
No one ever thinks that a serious injury can happen to them, but it can, and it does. And it can happen to you. And when it does, you need a fighter in that courtroom for you. Call me, Ben Johnson. Automobile accident, police misconduct, medical malpractice, product liability. You know what you're up against, how hard it is to get answers. When all you want is justice, call me, Ben Johnson. Whatever your legal crisis, I will fight for you. Call me today.
Do you have tax problems, unfiled returns? Facing levies on wages in your property? You need an expert, not a cartoon character or salesman. Thav Gross is your solution.
You need to look at the big picture. That's what we do. We develop a plan that's right for you.
I had major tax problems. I didn't know what to do.
We did
We sat down together and solved your tax problem. No more letters, no more phone calls. They saved me.
Call Thav Gross, 888-235-HELP.
Going from hourly to salary seemed like a good career move, but now you're working 60 hours a week instead of 40, and you aren't getting paid any of that extra time. You're stuck, right? Wrong. You can be on salary and still be entitled to overtime. If you've been wrongly denied such pay, you may be entitled to that and more. Gold Star Law is here to help you through your employment law problem, whatever it is.
Gold Star Law, protecting employees' rights. Call 1-800-WAGES-10 for a free consultation today.
All right, welcome back. All right, we're with Lou Radden, Dr. Lou Radden, spine specialist in Michigan. We're talking about back pain, and then how do we tie this to financial issues? And to me, there's the obvious. If you're unable to work as a result of back pain, you're going to be in a situation where your revenue and income coming in is going to get compromised. And that's a big problem. And I'm just curious, do you see that in your patient base where you can see financial issues arising and patients discussing it at all?
Well, financial issues have never have been going on for years. Usually every 5 to 7 years there's some type of correction. There's usually massive layoffs across the board. And when patients are laid off, usually what happens is that they reinvent themselves. In early 2008, there was layoffs with the big three. A lot of those patients who used to work for the big three developed new businesses. A lot of them became landscapers. They're up on roofs. They're mowing lawns, just trying to create income to take care of their families. And with these type of jobs, they have back strains, back sprains. They could possibly have herniated disc. And it's my job to get them back to work so that they can provide for their families.
Yeah, I guess you could see when people make career changes, all of a sudden that can put a different strain on the back from the standpoint of what they've been used to be doing. If they were behind a desk and now all of a sudden they're out
especially, and that was a good
pushing the
example
lawnmowers
because
and so forth.
When you had a patient base of the big three, the health insurance was there. The insurance coverage was there. And if you're moving to a reinvention and you don't secure the appropriate insurance, it makes life a lot more difficult when you do need that medical treatment because it's costly.
Yeah. Go ahead, Al.
I was going to say, how dangerous is back surgery?
Well, when patients come to me, that's a very common question. And like I tell my patients, I have over 14 years of education. I was trained at Duke University in reconstructive spine surgery. So it's not like you're going to the guy at 7-Eleven to get your back surgery. So you're coming to a person with years of experience.
Hey, I got some very good back surgery at 7-Eleven last week, along with my mocha coffee.
It was a Slurpee.
Right, and a Slurpee, yeah. No, go ahead.
So this is something I do every day, all day. And I treat every patient as if they're my own family, and I treat my family well.
I mean, it's a difficult decision that when you're faced, do I do the surgery or don't do the surgery? And I haven't been in that situation, but it comes down to, do you want to continue to linger in the same problem and pain that you are, or are you willing to take some level of risk in order to greatly improve the situation? I mean, the pain can be, it's debilitating.
It is debilitating. And the first thing I tell patients is that don't worry, come in, we'll go over your MRIs, I'll explain everything to you. I have multiple options that are less than surgery that can help you or give you a better quality of life. That's what the key is. It's a quality of life issue. If it's completely debilitating where you cannot work and you're an excellent surgical candidate, we can perform a minimally invasive spine surgery that can get you up and walking the next day. You can probably return to work in a week or two. If it's something that we can treat conservatively, either with epidural steroid injections or with physical therapy, then that's the route we'll take.
All right, before I forgot to do our sponsors, and we had some announcements to make. So let me take care of a little bit of housekeeping business. We have a seminar coming up. It's on Tuesday, September 17th, from 6:30 to 8 p.m. at our offices over in Bingham Farms. That's at 12.5 Mile and Telegraph. The name of the seminar is Resolving Debt. It's covering all of the issues that people are still grappling with in today's world and today's economy. I heard the statistic just yesterday. 25% of all homes in the United States are still underwater. That's a lot better than the 33% that were underwater 2 years ago. But 25% is still an enormous number. Still like 10.25 million homes are underwater. So if you're in that situation, if you've got too much credit card debt, if you've got tax problems, if you've got business problems, this is a seminar that is designed to lay out options, because what we find people don't realize is there are so many available solutions, not unlike, similar to what you're doing, Dr. Radden, where people come in and all of a sudden they're coming in thinking, absolutely, I have to have surgery. I'm afraid of surgery. Do I need surgery? Like Alan's asking about surgery, but there could be an injection. There could be physical therapy. There's other options depending on the situation and the circumstance that you have to identify. It's the same thing with financial issues. It's not all jump into bankruptcy. That's one option. Sometimes it's a good one. There's solutions outside of bankruptcy. If you're carrying too much, you may have good income, but you're sitting on $100,000 of credit card debt. And you're paying $20,000 a year in interest on those credit cards. That $20,000, if you can get rid of the credit card debt and put that $20,000 into a 401k or an IRA or a Roth IRA, all of a sudden in 20 years you got $1 million. So it's not a question of being so financially distressed that you're ready to jump off the bridge. It's a question of analyzing where you are today and where you want to be in 20 years and what are the smart decisions to make. That's what the seminar is about. If you want to sign up for it, go to our websites, thavgross.com or fctalkcenter.com. There's a link there where you click the button, you fill out the information, and it actually prints out a ticket. And if you come to the seminar, you also get a free copy of my book, Dump Your Debt. Also want to thank our sponsors, Venn Johnson Law, Gold Star Law, Samasco Law, Double Action Shooting Range and Gun Shop, and also Spine Specialists of Michigan.
All right, options. Acupuncture. What does it work? Doesn't it work? Does it hurt? What's it about?
Well, some patients it does work for. And if it works for you, then I would recommend that you can continue with that. It's certainly, there's no downside to having acupuncture. But if it isn't working, then you need to find.
I'm a fan. I've done acupuncture before. I'm a fan.
I saw on the news the other day that people are taking their pets to have acupuncture.
Wow.
Well, in this country, we love our pets. We love our children.
I think my
Not
dog,
necessarily in that order.
I think my dog would have a real serious problem with acupuncture.
Your dog has a serious problem watching TV.
She'd be much more inclined to have an injection, I think. If she saw that big needle for acupuncture, she'd be running like lightning.
She doesn't look like
I actually had acupuncture when I was a medical student. I had it.
We'll be back after the break.
You like your job. What you don't like is the way your boss has been treating you. He's making comments about how you look instead of your work, and he's been touching you inappropriately. If you complain, is he allowed to fire you? Absolutely not. Unwelcome sexual comments, advances in contact are illegal in the workplace. Make him pay. Gold Star Law is here to help you through your employment law problem, whatever it is.
Gold Star Law, protecting employees' rights. Call 1-800-WAGES-10 for a free consultation today.
Every family has the family meeting, and we all know what that means. Dad's got dementia. What are we going to do? What's the care plan that the family has in place? Usually they don't, or they struggle with a care plan. When you go home tonight and you talk to your tax person and you talk to your financial person, say, what's the plan that you have in place? And as soon as they don't give you an answer, give me a call, because I can do it for you.
Financially strapped? Do you want to save your home?
It's all about preserving future income. Bankruptcy is one option. When it's right, it's the least costly, most effective way to save your home, eliminate a second mortgage, and wipe out credit card debt. But you need to address the problem now.
We help people with bankruptcy. Call the experts.
We're Thav Gross. Our firm will solve your problem.
888-235-HELP. That's 888-235-HELP.
Double Action, shooting center and gun shop. For the largest selection of guns, accessories, and ammunition, Double Action is your only pro gun shop. And now you can train with the best in our basic CCW course with the most comprehensive curriculum, the best resources, and most accomplished staff. Don't be fooled by cheap imitations. Double Action is the only place to get your CCW or renewal. Double Action. We're on DeQuinder and Madison Heights.
No one ever thinks that a serious injury can happen to them, but it can, and it does. And it can happen to you. And when it does, you need a fighter in that courtroom for you. Call me, Ben Johnson. Automobile accident, police misconduct, medical malpractice, product liability. You know what you're up against, how hard it is to get answers. When all you want is justice, call me, Ben Johnson. Whatever your legal crisis, I will fight for you. Call me today.
All right, welcome back. Well, we were talking about stories on the break, and in fact, Lou mentioned that you had back pain when you were in college or in medical school. How did you decide to get to specialize in spine as opposed to, medical field's so broad?
Well, during my rotations as an orthopedic resident, I rotated with a couple of spinal surgeons that personality-wise we clicked, and I really enjoyed the science. I really enjoyed reading about spinal surgery, and then I just decided that's what I would do.
So it wasn't that you had this back pain all of a sudden in medical school and you had this epiphany that said, I'm going to be, I'm going to specialize, dedicate my life to backs.
No, it really was during residency. Most of the residents wanted to go into sports medicine. They wanted to take care of athletes. There was no one interested in spinal surgery. And I just developed a real love for the specialty.
What do you think of about chiropractors?
I like chiropractors. I have a synergy with chiropractic care. Physical therapy wise, it helps to treat the muscles. The chiropractor helps to manipulate the spine in case there's any type of subluxation of a joint. They can relieve pressure on those joints. If the patient fails conservative care with the chiropractor generally refers the patient to me, and then we explore other options.
With life expectancy increasing over the past decades, do you see an increase in the elder population and who may not necessarily be apt for surgery for other reasons in their independent or health
they've
situation?
got back pain, but they're too old to endure the surgery?
Not necessarily too old, but they may also have cardiovascular issues or other issues, or pulmonary issues that prevent a major surgery. And I was just wondering if you've had an increase in that population and anything noteworthy in that respect.
I have had an increase in that population, and generally that population, it's very interesting. I never discriminate against a patient or say a patient is not a candidate for spinal surgery other than if they have medical conditions. It's never related to their age. I'll give you a story. I had a young lady who was approximately 90 years old. She had severe spinal stenosis. She was unable to stand up straight for approximately 2 years. We performed a minimally invasive operation on her, decompressed the nerves, and for the first time in 2 years, she was able to stand up straight in church without using her walker. So there are surgical solutions for the elderly. And again, every patient is evaluated on an individual basis.
Did you notice the way you said, I had a young lady, 90 years old? What that says to you is this is the kind of doctor that you're going to like going to, because he's looking at he's definitely seeing the positive side.
He's going to call you young no matter how old you are.
Young lady, 90 years old,
Because
who doesn't like that?
You call me old, and you've been calling me old for 20 years.
You've been old for 20 years.
I have a backstory. This goes back to early after I was in law school. We started golf. I became an avid golfer, and we'd play your normal 6:30 a.m. round when you were a young married couple. And the guys are golfing, and the very first hole, we weren't warmed up, and I wrenched my back. And in those days, we were smoking cigars when we were golfing. And I spent the next 2 holes walking around like Groucho Marx because I was in an L, and then couldn't play. And then I rode the cart for the rest of the 18 holes. At the end of the 18th hole, they had to lift me out of the cart, deposit me into the car, drive me home, and we were living in an apartment building over at Franklin Park Towers at the time. And it was a long walk down the hallway. We were in the corner unit, and Bonnie, my wife, was she's very relaxed about things like golf and schedule and workouts now. But in our young days, it was always like I was always late, and it was always, where are you? So I show up and I walk in, and I'm walking into the apartment in a complete L shape. And I'm like a half hour late because of the time it took them to load me into the car and get me home. And she's saying, where were you? What's wrong with you? You're late and everything. And I said, oh, honey, everything's fine. And I'm walking in an L, and I just keep walking straight to the bedroom and fall over onto the bed. And it took her literally, I hope you're listening, honey, it took her about 15 minutes to say, is there something wrong with you? I said, oh, no, everything's fine. That was just,
Is that the story?
That's the whole story.
That was a great story.
Thanks. Thanks, Dave.
She should have said, I'm going to schedule you to see Dr. Radden.
You were probably an infant at the time.
Hey, I had her coming when I was an infant.
There you go. So
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I'm curious about, has anyone watched Low Winter Sun, the new cop show that's been filmed here?
No.
Nobody. Okay.
Has it,
all right.
When did it air?
It's this week will be the 4th or 5th episode.
Can we watch it on demand or something?
Yeah. You can watch it on demand. It's
what channel?
It's AMC. Station? It debuted on, I believe it was August the 11th or 17th.
What days does it air?
Sunday night at 9 o'clock. At 10 o'clock, it comes.
Does it star a back surgeon or something? I'm
It comes
trying to tie
on.
it into Lou's
Yeah. I'm
here.
sorry. It's a non sequitur here. It comes on right after Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad is one heck of a show.
Are you watching that?
I'm not watching the current. I'm on series on the second season on series 12. My daughter told me about it about 2 months ago.
Okay.
It is the most incredible TV show
I went
I've
through
ever
the
seen.
whole season in about a year. I had a friend bugging me, said, you got to watch it, and I blew it off, and I finally bought all 5 seasons, and it's a fantastic show.
Yeah, it's insane, is what it is. Totally insane.
And it gets more
Lou,
insane.
how do people find
Sorry
you
for
because we're running out of time?
Our address is 32270 Telegraph Road, Suite 110, Bingham Farms, Michigan, 48025. Our telephone number is 248-792-9496, or you can visit our website at www.spinemi.com.
I was on the website yesterday and went through it. It's a good website. It's got a lot of information. It's an easy one to navigate as well and to work through. The other we're running down the clock on time, but one of the thoughts that I had is, if you're in a situation where you have severe back pain, you have to keep in mind you have to maintain your health insurance, because health insurance is critically important if you need surgery or anything like that. And people sometimes make the mistake of letting those things slip. That's a financial issue. You got to prioritize. If you're in a situation where your income's taking a hit, and suppose your employer's not paying your health insurance is more important than your house payment. I'm afraid to tell you. It's more important than the car payment, and it's certainly more important than the credit card payments. On that thought, we're going to wrap up this segment. I want to thank Dr. Lou Radden from Spine Specialists of Michigan for joining us. We got Al Langle, David Einstandig. We'll be back with the next segment of the Financial Crisis Talk Center. Thanks for listening.